Hello and welcome to Centurion's Corner, and today we are going to be upgrading Vanth finally, so just remove all his accessories before we start. So using Tamura Flat Green XF5, I'm just going to put his pants to green. Just looking at the reference picture here on the side, to me it's kind of like a dark khaki, although I'm not actually covering the trousers completely in green. It's a very light wash. Just bringing it over so the brown is still going to shine through, so it's a combination of both and making it look dirty without actually doing too much weathering to it. Next up, you want to use your NATO brown XF68 or any type of brown. It's just to brown off that belt, just to make it a little bit darker, away from that horrible red kind of brown that they use for their plastic. Just adds a little bit more detail into the leather. When applying this paint as well, don't use it straight from the tub. Add a little bit of water, even just to your brush, just to keep it a little bit more liquidated, because it'll finish in a nice matte looking way rather than too shiny, and just blend into the figure a lot better. Carry on with that brown as well and cover both boots, and again keeping a very nice clear wash with the brown. Just using a little bit of flat black here and just adding to these extra wrist rocket on there. It just should be a little bit black. Next up, I'm just using a little bit of copper just to finish off that wrist rocket. So now with your silver, we're just going to add a few details. He's got some bullets on his back belt there. Just do the tops and the bottom, because they are supposed to be slotted in to pouches on there. And also on his top thigh, he's got some thermal detonator kind of cartridges there. So you want to do the top and the bottom so they look like they're fed through his trousers. So while we have the silver out, we might as well go a little bit mad. So you want to finish off these little like knee darts that he has on the side, and with the silver as well you can add even more details to the knee pad, because it's supposed to be all damaged more, like it's come out the Sarlacc pit. And also let's add some more silver to his chest plate, just around on the edges, so it's more scuffed, just more damaged as well. On the top you've got his shoulder pads that have no weathering effects on there, so you want to add that and add it to the back plate as well. You don't have to worry about it too much, because we are got the jetpack that's going to cover it up mainly, but just adding those extra parts on there just makes him look a bit more weathered and more balanced throughout the whole figure. With the silver as well, we can also put on a dry brush over the top of his gun, so just grab your dry brush, make sure it's very sort of dry, just dab it all the excess off and then brush it in one way over the actual gun itself. Don't go too excessive, you just want a few scratches and other bits on there. Still with the silver, what I've done, I've just dabbed it into a sponge and I'm just applying it all over the actual jetpack, so it looks more sort of speckled paint removed as well, so you don't get that texture with a brush. So with the actual sponge, it just looks more speckled and it's kind of just sort of deteriorated over time. And then adding more kind of scratches and stuff there with a more defined brush. Carrying on with the silver, on each side of his pants you actually see he's got like a circle. It's supposed to be like some kind of sort of like metal loop, so you just want to make those on there a bit silver. On the back of his belt as well, he has like this kind of little badge, so you want to silver that up. And on the front, on his right hand side, he's got a little disc that you want to make silver. Carrying on with the silver, just make it more weathered. He hasn't got a lot of weathering underneath his braces, so just keep adding that silver there, because it's got to look really buggered up. So going back to another dry brush technique, I'm using the buff paint here, just really dabbing it down and then just slightly brushing it over the top of his trousers, so it kind of looks like he's got that Tatooine weathered look. So he's got a metal panel on the back of his jetpack. It just looks rubbish, it just looks painted on. So we're going to actually make it more 3D like. So grabbing my tin trays that we have used from the diorama, if you haven't checked those videos, go and check those out. But this one here, we're just going to cut it out to the size of it, push it all down, size it up and glue it on, and it just gives it that extra 3D, a bit of texture on there and looking really nice and shiny. So now all you want to do is weather up the figure even more with a black wash. I do the jumper as I go, so I've done all the red parts first, just to give it sort of a more consistent look over the top, rather than doing one bit and then another bit and another bit. I just did each part. So I did the jumper, then the flak jacket, then his jumper, then his trousers and stuff like that, building it up. Don't forget his gloves, etc. You can do dry brushing, you can do a wash, so you just keep building it up with that black until you are pleased with that weathering look. So with that, I'll just leave you be now. I am weathering this up. We'll take a closer look at the end of the video where I actually go through the figure in a little bit more detail with what kind of details we have added onto the figure. But as you can see, just doing a big black wash as well over the top of those trousers, just to break up that green and that brown, just to really dull it down, so it's not as shiny as much as it was. So yeah, you can use it just to actually make it more matte as well with using the black wash. If you do think your paint looks a little bit shiny, adding that wash over the top of it will bring it down. And then once you are completely satisfied with your figure, then grab a matte spray, varnish finishing, and just spray it over the top. You can get them from any sort of like hobby store, or even from your local sort of like automobile type stores as well. Adding a lot more black wash over the actual guns as well, and the jetpack, and even putting it around the bottom of his thrusters, so it looks like they're really burnt out over time, because I don't think he's really looked after his armour while he's had it since having it from the Jawas, in my opinion. With the helmet, I just added a little bit more silver on the top and a little bit more of a black wash and dry brushing. So here we are, all finished and done, and he's ready to go onto the shelf with all the others, and are looking pretty cool actually. I don't know why it took me so long to get around to this guy. I think I overthought how complicated it was, but actually it wasn't. It's just a few little touches, even though it does look like a lot of paints that we have used here. So the main paint really on this one we have used is flat green XF5. To me it looks like a green. It's up to you if you want to do it a different colour, but looking at all the reference pictures, to me it looks like a green. And I think the way I've just done the wash over the top, so I haven't really fully covered the actual brown over the top, so it's kind of just got like a wash over it with even a darker black wash over the top. So I think it's got that kind of sort of like a used green look on there, maybe slightly fading over time where they look like they're a little bit older than they are. The other colour that I've used on here is the brown, which is the NATO XF68, and we've put that all over his sort of like belts and stuff there. It's a lot nicer colour than the colour they provide. Then we have used the buff, also that brown we put on these boots as well. With the buff, then we have highlighted it with a dry brushing, just to bring that sort of Tatooine desert sand over the top for a bit of weathering there. Obviously a black wash that we have used over the final of the figure, mostly over the top of his flat jacket and his red jumper. Chrome silver X11, used on all the silver parts. It's great for adding additional paint to underneath his gauntlets as well, and even more chippings and stuff on there. Unfortunately my silver is on its way out, so I kind of would have done a bit more silver in, but nonetheless it kind of just held up towards the end. And we've done a bit of a black as well, which is the flat black, which we have put onto his sort of like wrist rocket here. Just a quick little dry over with the sort of like the silver dry brush over the top of it, and then obviously the last part was using that dark copper there just to tip off on the dart. So yeah, all in all it looks really cool now. We've done his gun, so it's all got this dry brushing on there as well, and just all over. And I think his jetpack as well is really coming to play, where we added that extra bit of tin foil tray over the top of it. Just gives it that little bit more of a look to it. It's stuck on there, and it just kind of looks like an actual bit of scrap metal over the top, rather than just being the painted plaster, to be honest with you. And the rest was just more speckled over the top with the black wash as well. So really bringing the guy down, really drying him up, looking very big like with a matte finish on there. I didn't really do too much to the helmet, to be honest, because I'm not really going to displaying with it, but we put a bit more silver on there and a bit of a black wash and dry brush as well over the top of it, so that just fits on there. And it just never fits in properly anyway, and I hate the scarf the other way around, so that's why I switched it around on here. Again, his other gun, we have done a dry brushing as well in the silver and a bit of black wash over those bandage parts as well. And then just finishing it all off, we have done a matte spray over the top to seal it all in and to bring his trousers down, because they did look a bit glossy at the end there. So thank you so much for joining me on this one. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this guy now. Are you going to try this? Let me know. You can comment down below, subscribe, ding that bell, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.